I must say, I'm really disappointed. Really disappointed in Pyrrho. I'm really disappointed in people. This is why I talk about giving up YouTube and really becoming, you know, an ultimate hermit. You know, worse than in Mendham, because in Mendham interacts with people on YouTube. Really, I ought to turn my focus to mathematics and physics in my own little world, because it's getting to the stage where I'm only prepared to interact with people on a formal basis. And I mean mathematical, logical, formal basis, on a technical basis. Implicit in my last video was I guess a hope, you know, that, you know, I said I'm talking technically, blah blah blah, and I'm hoping for technical responses. It's a technical criticism, so what's the technical reply? I'm given a 2.5 hour video to suffer, wherein you do the in Mendham interjectory style. You know, I watch your video, I watch it again and take notes. I then seek, you know, the key moment to, so I discuss my notes, I think it's blah blah blah, and then I go to the key section of where the disagreement is, and then re-go over both formally and informally your argument. It takes me half an hour, and I conclude in the video that the sole purpose of it is one technical point. In that half an hour period, there was a 10-minute foreword about purposes, but I repeatedly said that the whole part that's in the title, and I say the whole purpose of this is one technical objection. The question is how many questions at issue did Pyrrho raise in that 2 hours, practically? Yeah, many. Right? Well, that's completely illogical. When I'm just asking to resolve one issue, yeah, you invoking, oh, my epistemology is better because of this, and it all comes the data stream. I'm saying the data stream, the epistemology, the data stream. You're saying this, you're saying that, you're saying this. No, I just got one little technical point to clear up with you, and you subject me to 2 hours, a complete hour of pissiness, yeah. Now, I express forcefully, but I'm not losing my temper here. I'm annoyed inside, and so I can express that forcefully, but without losing the complete tone of the whole video being one of pissiness. Right? But it was a pissy video, yeah, a whingy, impatient. I mean, the strategy of video is an impatient one. Is that you can't be bothered to watch it first and think, what is the best? Have I understood it? Watch it again, make notes. Maybe the best way is to go through it all one by one, and so on and so forth. But no, it's a lazy way of interacting, this conversational stop-starting. You lose track of many thoughts and ideas. You contradict yourself in major ways, in I think 3 times, definitely 2 that are screaming out at me, yeah, to evince, to exemplify, and demonstrate that you're not keeping cognizant of what the questions at issue are, or the question at issue is. You're not cognizant of what you're saying at the one time, and then later on completely contradicting yourself at another time. At this juncture, I'm not sure whether I'll do what I'm inclined to do, and that is a thorough scrutiny of that second video, that second pissy video, wherein you're impatient and losing your tolerance, and on the one hand, in the first video saying, oh yeah, it's interesting talking about purpose, and then saying, this isn't interesting to me, this isn't interesting. And then on the other hand, in the second video, you know, you're saying that you understand technical language, and I'm detailing how there are axioms, premises, and inference within the premises, and then you go A1 through to AN conclusion. Well, no, not A1 through to AN. It questions just whether you do have a degree in philosophy, or whether you did study logic for 4 hard years, when you don't demonstrate that degree of ability in training to keep your vocabulary, your language correct. So, see you later. And there's so many instances of this. Yeah. 2 particular egregious ones that I don't care to mention now, because of the relatively quick nature I want this video to be, and your apology accounts for nothing about being pissy in the second video, particularly pissy. They were just words. It was my attitude that's a problem. It was the interjectory style and not focusing use word, the illa, and dealing with. Yeah. Occasionally, when you caught on video my most, like you would just say, I did tell you exactly where you were wrong, and you'll go blah 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 blah, and there's differences between what you tell me, what 1 minute you've told me, and later on in the end of the video what you tell me later as my circularity. So right, with the strategy at hand is to start here, right? So I'll summarize one last time. I said that an argument looks like this. It has underpinning axioms, and then it has a premise 1, premise 2, and a conclusion. Okay? It can be longer in the premises. And if circularity, I demanded that you point and say, look, that use my language, that you found that the conclusion, not necessarily P1 per se, so Pn, yeah, is, yeah, you've never done that, you've still not done it, write it up for me, yeah. The demand is not implicit now, but explicit. If you want to say that I'm doing some circular reason, write it up for me and I'll show you the error of your ways. Because no doubt these statements, these comments are all interjected, and you're telling me about what I need to understand and blah, blah, blah. No, there's only one question that's being discussed. There's no what I need to understand. You might like me to understand your whole big fluffy philosophy, but I'm not interested in that. You said I'm circular, and I said you can't say I'm circular unless you do this showing business. Show that my conclusion was in actual fact, one of my premises. You win your argument if you do that. I say you've not done it. And you've especially not shown it formally and technically in the way that I discuss. Right? Now then, a major theme of all the drivel that you've been touting is whether or not there's a logical inference, whether you are in fact circular. Okay? Now, I have not said you are circular. I said I'm thinking that there's something circular going on with the Descartes' thought experiment, perhaps, and I have not scrutinised it, but I'm inclined to think that if the circularity going on, it's with yourself, right? At times I talk about your circularity, right? But if you watch the whole video and you see that I begin my conversation with qualifications, and then in the middle, perhaps because it's too pedantic to continually qualify everything you say, I loosely might say your circularity, and then at the end I then summarise and say, but I'm not saying you're circular, or I'm not saying you're condescending. Then any discussion and hard examination of me being in the literal sense without remembering that I'm qualifying it makes everything you said about this in this interjectory section nonsense, because you're presuming it to be literal at that time. Now, there is this was in the plan of dealing with a comment in the second video. I say it could qualified, right? It could be taken as condescension. And your reply is, I won't quote it, but I'll paraphrase it. Your reply is, you're wrong. It is not condescension. Well, I can't be wrong, because if anybody in the world thinks and has the capacity, so your reply is totally invalid, yeah, at that point. And I have it in memory. I know approximately where it is. I think it's about 13 minutes in, but along with several other egregious missing of details. Yeah, and it's this inattention to details, inattention to be able to fix your language. When I say a logical argument has axioms, premises and conclusions, and I'm demonstrating a firm belief in an inclination to want to talk technically about a criticism, when you just say, oh, an argument goes A1 to AN, conclusion, when you fail to pay attention to those details, I question your qualifications. I say, I have a degree in mathematics, a first-class degree, right? And I have a schedule of results showing all the classes I took. Yeah? If we listen to you, you spent 4 years studying logic, 4 years of logic. If we listen to you, you did 4 years of physics also, yeah, as well as 4 years of philosophy. Yeah? I put it that if you do in fact have a degree, it's essentially a hodgepodge, and with no, and they've granted you a philosophy degree because of its hodgepodge nature, yeah? And that certainly you have not done, I mean, a degree in the UK is a 3-year course. I don't know how yours is 4. Yeah, proceeded. We finished school at 16. We did finish in my era at 16. 2 years of intermediate college, 17, 18 is the normal way, and then graduating at 21 is the normal path. Right? You guys, I understand, you leave at 18. Are you telling me you graduate at 22? Right? So, and I'm very interested to know what fucking modules you have done and whether you have a transcript of studies. Yeah? Because I have it. Yeah? I was digging it out. All my academic records. See, for proving myself in you know, job interviews, it's like 10% chance of them actually asking to see your qualifications, but in the education industry, you do actually. You can't get to become a teacher without showing it. Yeah. So when I worked in schools, I did actually. Whereas I never in engineering. Nobody asks me for my qualifications in engineering. Just never come up. They just listen to you. If you could talk the bullshit or whatever, you know, I never got asked to see my qualifications in all my engineering jobs. But yeah, something doesn't add up here. The fact that you're always, you know, in Mendham has pointed to it when he says, look at you're, you know, always forgetting to switch your audio on and stuff. You don't strike as a technical person. I liked you because you were peaceable at times. It's a nice word, peaceable. To an extent that extends to friendliness, yeah. But I can't proceed to think of you as a friend as I did because of we've hit the renewed troubles, and it reminds me again of the reasons we fell out, and you know, we're both peaceable in which we're inclined to try to work under the friendly banner, and if you do that long enough, then you become de facto friends of sorts. And well, like I said, the trick from the Tom Cruise movie Cocktail, when she says, I didn't want it to end badly, and he says, everything ends badly, otherwise it wouldn't end. That was a pretty cool quote, I thought, and truth, perhaps. Alright, so remember, left hand side is what I'm saying, sole singular point that I'm making. But in Mendham, Pyrrho has introduced this idea, which I'll deal with because I can demonstrate the illogic of it when I'm saying that he's not spoke logically. I mean, his claim to be talking logic at early in the second video is, Luke, clearly I'm saying A, if A, then B, yeah, my logic. Later on, he says his logic is based upon axiom 1, axiom 2, and a conclusion. Now here, this is a statement, is one way of describing it. Well, that would be a logical statement, or it's also can be equally described as a proposition. Right? Now this is an argument or a premise that proposition or premise that he stands behind, yeah, as the logic. Later on, he says the logic is an argument structured like this. Contradiction. Yeah, it's one or the other that we're arguing about at this time, right? Take what you call the principle of charity, that is dealing with the better of the stronger form of his argument. I'll deal over here, because he doesn't really put ever any meat on these bones of these A's, which really, if he's calling it an argument, should be premises, and that the premises involve logical entailment. And he never, and the names of the entailment that they have names, right? And logical, the inferences have names, and he never details those names, except perhaps in this instance. This is an example of a logical inference called the conditional, as discussed in prior videos, or implication. Okay. Now this is me talking to Pyrrho, right, about this statement. It's a valid statement, but it's not sound. You're entitled to say I'm saying that. It's not sound because of what A and B is. A is, well, I'm unclear as to what A is. Yeah, is it the set of your one experience that derives a particular B? So is it a universal? Or is it the set of all your experiences, which are some of your experiences, which derives a particular B, or several B's? Yeah? Or is it everybody's experiences? From that comes whatever B is. At this moment, a model, I think. Right? And these supposed experiences, do they include animals? So you're not, so as the logical truth table, if I was to say experiences generally, yeah, if I have an experience, the implication above, yeah, to write it and it be sound, if there's an experience, there'd have to be a model. Okay, now, can you show that for every existent experience there's a model? No, you can't. Yeah, you can't show that animals are modeling in the sense that you mean, we mean. So if experience includes animals, it's not sound, because the premise isn't true, the proposition isn't true. If it includes everybody's human experience, the intelligent people's experiences, well, not every human experience results in a model. So again, it's false, the premise. Okay, so maybe let's give you some latitude and say all the scientific experiences of A is all the scientific experiences were in they're to a scientist, yeah, and will allow you rather than writing pages and pages of the specification, we'll hope we understand and will grant that every time a scientist has an experience, he makes a model. Okay, that premise I could live with, yeah, but that's a far removed premise from what you put forward. That is a thought out promise that I might allow to be true with sufficient understanding about what this set is, yeah. But it may be that the model is incorrect. Okay, the premise makes a model. A implies B doesn't mean the models are true. That would be a different premise. Premise, if a scientist makes a model, then model is true, is false, because scientists make mistakes. Okay, so that's Pyrrho's side of it. Now, like, this video is like totally longer than planned, but I'm going to jump to the summary section now of the third video for about 5 minutes and do an interjectory style.
Nobody said that was self-proving. The standards they are and logical inference in this
See,
process.
wait. I think I had a problem here. Hopefully this continued. This is, again, you're doing this Gary thing.
I'm not doing no Gary thing.
Okay, what did I say?
What you said wasn't technical. You'll not find no logical book that talks about axioms being self-proving. Yeah? You can say it's synonymous. It's synonymous to you, but if you're talking to a technical guy talking about logic, talking about philosophic logic, talking about mathematical logic, and you use something self-proving or proofed, then he wants to see how it proves and what that work is, because the word proof has a technical meaning, which isn't synonymous in that field.
Nobody said that was self-proving.
Nobody said they're self-proving. You said they're self-evident.
Yeah, and that's what you'll read in the technical books on philosophy and logic, is that axioms are deemed to be usually self-evident. Yeah? Sometimes they're not even self-evident. In mathematics, they're just, oh, interesting, let's play with them, right? But in philosophic terms, an argument for truth and soundness, that your premises are true, very often you hear the term self-evident. But you don't hear self-proving. Show me a book. I got 20 PDF books. I got 100 books on PDF books and the likes on logic and abstract mathematical logic, set theory, and none of them will say, oh, the axioms are self-proving.
But the word self-proving is too different. Have you ever heard the word self-proving?
No, I've not. No, I've not. Not in no technical. I'm talking technical. No, I've not. Sorry.
It's a synonym of...
You say it's synonym. Go Google it. Go Google it and show me synonym. You say it's synonym.
Self-evident.
You say I'm being pedantic. No, I told you at the outset I was going to be pedantic because I'm speaking technically about a technical criticism and only the one of them.
They just obviously must be true.
No, I've just told you. I don't say that obviously must be true. I say that they're self-evident. Well, yeah, okay. See, I can do that. When I misspeak, I know I've misspoke. Yeah, what I mean is, I don't prove the truth. Yeah, and those people, and I've made this point before, those people who want to say it's not self-evident, that's fine. Okay, it's not so self-evident. I thought it was. If I say it's self-evident, and I meet somebody say it's not self-evident, then I go, oh right, you're right, it's not self-evident. I won't try to get anybody to agree to. If somebody says an axiom is not self-evident, then that's the end of it. It's not self-evident. But if we want to talk about the argument as being valid and having soundness, and the truth of the argument as dependent upon the axioms as taken as self-evident, then that's a different world. And that's the world I'm living in when I'm making a technical criticism.
Right. Which is obviously just like people that think God must be true or anything must be true with no evidence.
No.
Yeah, you feel it. I get it, dude.
Yeah.
We've not even discussed axioms. In fact, the things which I would call axioms and that we've agreed on, we've not formally agreed axioms, okay? And to the extent we have informally, there's been a lot of agreement that my conceptions of self-evident are your conceptions of self-evident.
And logic works under logic. You're the one claiming that the logical inference in this process, this direction of travel, and there's no logic in it.
There's not a bit of logic in it.
Well, I'm curious with my scientific example.
Right. There's logic here. That is, it's a valid premise. Yeah? And when you talk about if A then B, which is not what I've been talking about, the criticism was about your 3 videos. At one time you're talking about the direction of travel, blah, 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 blah. You clarify and say, something I want to stand behind is if A, then B. I mean, later on you say, oh, I have made an argument, I've gone through my axioms and shown my conclusion, right? No, one statement, one proposition. You're working logically to a degree when you say if A, then B, right? But I've not criticised where you're talking about if A, then B. But because in a video you describe if A then B, you then through the entire video continue as if I criticised if they then B. Right? And so I clarified and said, no, I'm talking technically. That you spoke non-technically and that you accused me of being, or various people of being circular, and that you can't do that, and I told you exactly when you can do it, and that you've not lived up to the expectations.
Doesn't somebody have to look at the results of the experiment to do and make a model?
Yes, they do. Well, not always. That's why if A then B is false, yeah, because they don't have to look at you. They can sit here and they can dream up a model, an abstract model, just out of their imagination. Yeah, they don't have to go look at experiments, right? This is what I was talking about. And if we accept that he's a scientist and he's got the purpose of making a model, to the which in that sense, where's the icon?
isn't that logical inference from the data?
Language is that's being used technically.
The idea that they're self-proving, they aren't.
Nobody said that they're self-proving. They stand as they are, and logical inference in this
See,
process.
wait. I think I had a problem here. Hopefully this continued. This is, again, you're doing the scary thing. Okay, what did I say?
Nobody said that they're self-proving.
Nobody said they're self-proving. You said they're self-evident. But the word self-proving is too different. Have you ever heard the word self-proving? It's a synonym of self-evident. They just obviously must be true. Right? Which is obviously just like people that think God must be true or anything must be true with no evidence. Yeah, you feel it. I get it, dude.
Yeah, and logic works under logic. You're the one claiming that the logical inference in this process, this direction of travel, and there's no logic in it.
Well, I'm curious with my scientific example. Doesn't somebody have to look at the results of the experiment to do and make a model?
Oh dear. Yes. That is. There's a name for this fallacy. I forgot it. Oh my god, I can't believe I forgot it. And I watched something about it just the other day. Pyrrho says, in the scientific paradigm, I'll try to quote him, isn't it true that, let's listen to him again. I get this down because it's so funny, really.
And isn't that logical?
Yeah, and logic works under logic. You're the one claiming that the logical inference in this process, this direction of travel, and there's no logic in it.
Well, I'm curious with my scientific example. Doesn't somebody have to look at the results of the experiment to do?
I'm quoting him wrong here. Doesn't somebody have to look at the results of the experiment in order to, I want it again. Get this down.
And make a model. And think God must be true or anything must be true with no evidence. Yeah, you feel it. I get it, dude.
Yeah, and logic works under logic. You're the one claiming that the logical inference in this process, this direction of travel, and there's no logic in it.
Well, I'm curious with my scientific example.
Here it comes.
Doesn't somebody have to look at the results of the experiment to do and make a model? And isn't that logical inference from?
No. See, this is the level of your failure in logic and explanation. Yeah. Doesn't somebody have to look at the results of the experiment? You know, you didn't quite say that, but it's effective. In order to make a model. Now, this fallacy is thinking that if A actually implies B, then it is true that this is fallacy. If B, then I have an A. That's what he's just said, or he's implying it in the global sense. What he's actually said is this. Is this. Earlier he was talking about what he's just said is this, is that what this means is, what is true here out of that sentence is, if you have a model, then there was experience. And that is true. It's a logical proposition. It's valid. Yeah. P1, our proposition. If you have a model, then you have an experience. And it has the following truth table. If we say models are all in the set B and experiences, but what is not true is if you have an experience, then you have a model. That's a fourth definite, egregious I give up. This is just too bad. This is just too bad. If you have a model, I can't quibble with that. If he'd said it, as he's just said it, but this is just false, as he said it earlier. And in fact, he thinks that that statement is equivalent to this. That's the point. And him thinking that there is an equivalence between this is the fallacy of... I'll get back to you on that.